Hello and welcome back to Low-Key Gaming. I am going to be plunging into the world of the Pokemon universe, but with a twist, and it will blow your mind. It's Pokemon Infinite Fusion. What in the Poke world is Pokemon Infinite Fusion? It's not just your typical Pokemon game, it's a fan-made masterpiece that cranks up the fusion concept to a whole new level. And in this run, I will be using only Fire-type Pokemon. I will be burning the entire Johto and Kanto region to the ground. This run, like so many other starts in Professor Oak's little laboratory, I'm able to pick between a Tentacruel and a Baneri, a Shedinja and a Charmander fusion, or a Politom. Now, given this is a fire run, I think the choice is fairly obvious. I picked Charninja. Having picked my Charninja, you all know what happens next. We get challenged by the rival, and it looks like he chose Politom. And unfortunately, because we do have the Wonder Guard ability, we are taken out with the super effective move as we have 1 HP. With that, our rival has defeated us and we're on to the next step, which is picking up a parcel for Professor Oak from a Pokemart in Viridian City. We do just that, collecting the Professor Oak's parcel, as well as obtaining some DNA splices. With the parcel now in hand, I go back to Professor Oak and give it over to him, and he provides us with some Pokeballs. However, because this is a randomized run, he ended up giving us some Meadow Plates, which isn't very helpful. Nevertheless, I was able to get some Pokeballs. Leaving Pallet Town and then passing Viridian City, I make my way to Viridian Forest. However, I see a Woobell. Go ahead and catch that thing. Then a Cottonwick appears. I catch that thing too. And I decide to fuse my Weeping Bell with my Charmander, creating a Charbell, which looks pretty cool. Then I fuse my Shedinja with my Litwick, creating Shedwick. Then, with my party now accumulated, I am after Brock. He sends out a Kurgma, which is a Corellia and a Slugma. He uses a Confusion hitting me for half my health, and another one taking me out. I send out Shedwick. Now, Shedwick has the Wonder Guard ability, so he can only be hit by moves that are super effective against him. That means his Kurgma is really shit out of luck. And an Ember clutches the kill. Brock sends out Slugret. Pretty cool looking Pokemon. Slugma does make very interesting fusions, I must say. But again, it is unable to hit our Shedwick, being a fire bug type with Wonder Guard. After a series of Embers, Fire Spins, and Confusion hits, Slugret faints. And with that, we have defeated Brock, taking home the first gym badge, the Boulder Badge. Having now defeated Brock, we are about to go up to Mount Moon, however we were interrupted by one of the lovely scientists, who tells us that there are actually Pokemon with hidden abilities in the grass. With this knowledge, I didn't wait a moment. I jumped into the bush, hoping to find a Pokemon with a hidden ability. I found a Neferi with Friend Guard. I wasn't actually too sure what that ability did at the time, but I thought it was too good an opportunity to pass up, so I caught it. Having caught our Neferi, I wanted to go heal up our Pokemon outside the Pokemon Center in Mount Moon. However, Nurse Joy was out the front saying that this poor little Geodude had been beaten up by a couple of thugs. Luckily, Brock shows his face and says, "Hey, player, why don't you go into the tunnel and fix this problem?" So that's what I was just about to do. But before I did that, I wanted to fuse my Torchic with my Wooper, creating a Woochick, which I thought looked amazing. I love the little colors. And now in Mount Moon, you can totally see that Team Rocket are up to no good. It's a little bit ominous, so I think we better chase them. My Charbell decided to evolve, creating, again, Charbell, but this time it looks absolutely cursed. Woochick decides to evolve as well, didn't want to be left out, and we get Woobuskin. As you can see, Team Rocket are up to absolutely no good. They're going to try to do a triple fusion of 3 different Pokemon. I don't know if we can let this happen, so we do butt our heads in, and they all slick this poor little scientist onto us. The scientist sends out Donite, and our battle commences. Unfortunately for Donite, Charbell is superior, taking it out for the win. Having defeated the scientist, Team Rocket decided it is not a good time to stay here, and they flee to Mount Ember. For my efforts of removing Team Rocket, I'm able to take one of the fossils. I pick it up, but unfortunately, because it is randomized, I did not get a fossil. Nevertheless, I exited Mount Moon and went all the way into Cerulean City. Turns out Misty is using Ghost-type Pokemon. However, I knew I needed a few more Pokemon before challenging the gym leader, so I decided to level up my Woobuskin, creating Quagbuskin, which I actually thought was a really funny looking Pokemon. Now, it was time for Misty. I'm able to use 2 Pokemon, so I select my favorite 2. Misty starts off sending out a Clefpet. 2 Embers will take it out. Next comes out Duster, an absolutely amazing looking skull ghost Pokemon. Using Shadow Sneak, it does do a bit of damage. However, my Embers are doing damage. With 1 HP, Charbell snatches the win, beating Misty and claiming the 2nd badge. With Misty's defeat now under wraps, I was going to go up Nugget Bridge. However, our rival Ganon appeared out of nowhere. Ganon sends out his Venosect, the bug of bug Pokemon. However, it succumbs to an Ember. Next comes out Politom, his Pokemon that he chose at the very start. I use a couple of Vine Whips to get him back down, snatching the win. Out comes Bonball, which is a Gabite and a Bonsly. I take it out with a single Vine Whip. Next comes out Abish, a really funny looking Pokemon, but again, seriously weak to fire, so this run is moving quite smoothly. I run over to Bills, who has turned himself into a Pokemon. I did decide to help him, although I really do want to just leave him there one time as a Pokemon. Nevertheless, he does say thank you for that, and he does give me the SS and ticket, so I am able to go onto the boat and get the HM cut. However, before I do go onto the SS and, I wanted to see what Pokemon I might be able to find in the new zone. Looking around, I see a Clefairy. I catch that. And I decide to fuse two Pokemon together, my Charmeleon and my Clefairy. Then Clefairy evolves into Charfable. Then I found the Captain Key on the SSN. With the Captain Key now on hand, I was going to go up to the Captain's room. But just as I was about to do that, my rival Ganon appears. Ganon sends out a Charizard. However, I wasn't too worried because I was able to confuse it. So even if it did have Wonder Guard, I was still going to get a hurt itself by confusion hit, and with only 1 HP with a Shedinja, I knew I was going to win. Out comes Politom. However, it uses Bubble, so it actually had a move that was super effective against me this entire time and just wasn't using it. So it did take out my Pokemon. So I sent out Charfable, which did not take long to take out this Politom at all. So they send out Inferno. I use a Fire Fang and eventually take it out. Next comes up his last Pokemon, it's a Kerwile. Fire Fang doing decent damage, his Magical Leaf doing very little. I get a Fire Fang and of course a Burn, which does end up taking out the very last of its health, giving us the win over our rival Ganon. And with that, we're able to go up into the Captain's room. We rub his back, rub-a-dub-dub, and then he gives us the HM cut, granting us access to Lieutenant Surge, who we battle right away. Surge, the third gym leader, sends out B2 as his first Pokemon. Unfortunately for him, this is a bug-type Pokemon, so he's not going to fare very well against my fire team. Shedwick uses another Flame Burst, which easily takes it out. However, next he sends out a Volcabra, a mean-looking Pokemon which I was a little worried about because I do know it has the Wind typing, and as I feared, Gust does knock me out in an instant. Charfable comes out for revenge, which we get. Next comes out this Ariapur, this tiny little Pokemon, doesn't stand much of a chance with one Fire Fang taking it out easy peasy. And with that we have beaten Surge. I fuse my Cubone with the Slugma, creating a Slugbone. Then we get Charmander and Combusken to fuse together, and we end up with this tiny little Commander, which looks like a little chicken. But Commander evolves very quickly when we get Charmeleon up to level 16, and we create a Comleon. We have moved up to Lavender Town, and we're going to look at the ghosts. However, before we do, we're up against our rival once again. We're up against this monstrosity. We have a Miss Leon, which I fused off camera, I forgot to include that, and Miss Leon does a decent job. We got a Will-O-Wisp off to reduce its physical damage against us by 50%. I send out Tyro to tank a Rock Slide, and then switched in for my Comwhirl, which is a Combusken and Poliwhirl. I use Ice Punch to do a little bit of damage, however Rock Slide doing decent damage as well, and I would have been really hurt had it not been for the burn. Unfortunately, it does use Earth Power and takes out our Pokemon. I send out Miss Million again, hoping to take it out, but unfortunately Rock Slide does take us out as well. However, the burn does finally takes out this horrible Pokemon. I send out Slugbone. However, Slugbone is immediately deleted by a Bubble Beam. Next out comes Charfable. I use Sunny Day to reduce the impact of the water moves and increase the damage of our fire type moves. Flamethrower doing decent damage and taking it out. Out comes Ditrino, but it is immediately deleted by a Flamethrower. Licky comes out and I think it looks amazing, so it's a Licky with a Sylveon. Very cool fusion. He uses Swift to almost get the win and a quick attack to secure it. I'm feeling the pressure at the moment, so I send out Shedwick. With 1 HP and my Wonder Guard, I'm hoping it cannot hit me. And just like that, it can't. It was impossible to hit, so I slowly yet surely killed him. So I slowly yet surely took the win from my rival once again. Team Rocket are in the sewers, and it's up to me to beat them. Just as I was about to head into the sewers, I'm actually stopped by Erika, who, for the first time in our lives, is no longer an enemy, but she is in fact our friend, and she joins us on our quest to root out Team Rocket from the sewers. With Erika by my side as my sidekick in doubles, I make short work of all the Team Rocket grunts and the wild Pokemon in this space, for me to get all the way up to their boss, Giovanni. Giovanni takes on not just myself, but also Erika. A really hard fight for him, I must say, although it does look like Giovanni's Pokemon are a little bit over leveled for us. He sends out these two awesome looking Pokemon, However, they both look like they're quite weak to fire. Giovanni takes out Erika's Pokemon, but then a Galto comes out. My Mismeleon is doing decent damage and able to take quite a bit of their hits. Swift doing damage to both their Pokemon, and a Fire-Fang almost taking out Sneerosum. Sneerosum goes down, Mismeleon levels up, and we want to learn Slash. We replace Scary Face for Slash, obviously, and out comes a Charizard. An amazing Corsola Charizard fusion, and I've got to say guys, Charizard has some really cool fusions. Mismeleon goes down, unfortunately, and Galto almost does as well, but then we get to send out our next Pokemon. We decided to send out Slugbone. Unfortunately, Galto does go down before he's able to get off any hits. Our Slugbone actually absorbs an electric move, increasing our damage. Out comes Honler, and we absorb electric once again. The Elect V goes down, easy peasy, and then it's just us against Charizard. Ancient Power doing okay damage. Charizard does go for an Aqua Ring, but it's no good, and faints shortly thereafter. And with that, we have defeated Giovanni once again. Our Slugbone decided to evolve right after that battle, evolving into Slugwhack. I decided to fuse my Cargo and a Rampardos that I found into this awesome looking Crankago. And Crankago decides to evolve one more time after a little bit of battling into this amazing looking Ramcargo. Then it is on to Erika. She sends out Generino, which is 7 levels ahead of us, and our Shadow Ball takes out our Mismeleon out immediately. Then we send out Ramcargo, hoping to do a little bit better than we just did. Unfortunately, we use a Shell Smash, which does reduce all our defenses while increasing our attack. However, Generino survives on like 1 HP and takes us out. It's all up to our Shedwick with Wonder Guard. Now this is the funniest fight because our Shedwick actually has no weaknesses against any of the Pokemon we go up against. So I'm not going to sit here for the next 20 minutes and let you guys watch how slowly and painfully this battle goes on. But just know, we are able to take out every single one of Erika's Pokemon because we have our Wonder Guard ability. Genrino faints, Erika sends out Hauntveion. Hauntveion does end up hitting itself by confusion, taking itself out. Out comes Erika's last Pokemon, Mistop, which we are able to take out with a few Fire Spins, Confusions, and a Hex. And with that, we have defeated Erika, claiming yet another badge. Having defeated Erika, it was now time to go collect the Pokeflute, which we did so we could remove Snorlax. With the Pokeflute now in hand, it was time to do some evolving. Mismeleon evolved into our Mizzard, and then Charfable decided to evolve as well, giving us this amazing Charfable with those, look at those fire ears. Comwell decides to evolve as well, and we get this absolutely disgusting looking Blazewell, which we will be getting rid of. We made our way to Future City and the Safari Zone. It is time to catch some Pokemon. We found a Primarily, a Nidrill, a Pinnick, and a Fanmite, a Fiduo, and a Clefdactyl. I really like Phoebus. I'm a big fan of Melodic, so I decided to evolve that immediately. And now that we had a Melodic, it was time to fuse her away with Blaziken, creating an absolutely phenomenal looking Pokemon. We got Blazetick. I decided to fuse my 2 Charizards together, giving us this amazing design Charizard with the red and the black. Houndour and Clefable decided to go together, giving us this funny little Clefdor, and then Gaily and a Slugma, giving us this Molten Sluglai. Clefdor decided to evolve into Clefdoom, as did Slaglai. Look at that, that is a disgusting looking Pokemon, Maglai. Shedwick was also on the evolution path. We got Shepden, and Shedpen decided to evolve once more into Shedlure, our final evolution for this Pokemon. With all those evolutions in place, it was time to battle Koga. Koga sends out Weeping Pass, an interesting looking Pokemon, but I think we can take it out, as we did with an Ice Beam, a single shot. He does a Rock Slide doing decent damage, however we use a Water Pulse and almost take it out. Blazetick does fall unfortunately, so we send out our brand new Charizard, who uses Flare Blitz to take out this Pokemon. Shield Knight comes out, which unfortunately does take out our Charizard with an Ancient Power. It is now Maglai's time to shine, but then Shield Knight actually takes out our Pokemon in one hit, so we have to rely on Shedlure with the Wonder Guard ability. Shadow Ball taking out that Pokemon, and finally the last Pokemon, Hypercargo. We avoid Psybeam being immune, and do one more Shadow Ball, taking the win from Koga. With Koga now soundly defeated, it was now time to move over to Saffron City to battle Sabrina. However, Saffron City is plagued with Team Rocket at the moment, so it was up to us to go into Silph Co and defeat Giovanni once again. However, because our rival has never learnt manners, he decided to challenge us right before we went ahead and battled Giovanni. Our rival sends out Alaplume, which has absolutely nothing against our Shedlure. Shedlure takes it out easy peasy. And then we're versing a Politom again, the original Pokemon for our rival. Hydro Pump actually does knock us out immediately. We're a little sad about that, but we've got Magli with our amazing Freeze Dry ability, which takes out that Pokemon. Next up comes Porygar, obviously a Polygon and a Gengar fusion. It does a discharge doing decent damage, almost taking us out. Signal Beam does take out Magli. We send out Clefdoom, and a Flamethrower is able to take out their Pokemon. Then comes out a Mr. Ma, which looks amazing. And unfortunately it does hit us with a Psychic taking us out, but then we quickly swap into Rampcargo. Unfortunately, Mr. Ma's Psychic does take us out as well, and it's now getting very close, so we send out our Charizard, who uses Slash to secure the win. Our rival's last Pokemon is a Hitmonchan. Tiny little Pokemon that gets flattened by Charizard, absolutely no diff. And with that we've beaten our rival and onto Giovanni. Giovanni sends out Togafring and a Masaur. This is a double battle of course, so we're just going to focus as much as we can on the one Pokemon to get them down to a 1v2 situation. Shedlure goes down immediately to an Air Slash, which is unfortunate. Rampcargo comes out, and I use Rock Slide because that's going to hit both. Unfortunately, they withdraw that Pokemon and they send out a Hax Tick, and a Dragon Pulse comes out and does half the damage to Rampcargo. However, we are successful in removing one of their Pokemon, but Haxic is still there, and Masaur comes back out. Dragon Pulse does take out Rampcargo, while Outplume sets up Future Sights. With one Melodic on the field, we thought it would be a good idea to send out one more. Out comes our Blaze Tick. Psychic is powerful enough to take it out, and now it is just us versus the Masaur. And we are easily taking it out. Then out comes this Vileplume Jinx Fusion, Vilenex. It does manage to take out our Blaze Tick, which is a bit of a shame because I did want the experience points there. But then a Signal Beam snatches the win, beating Giovanni once again. And wanted to fuse two of my Pokemon together, creating a brand new entity. Alright, I got a Solodoom. My Solodoom quickly went into its evolution, turning itself into Duodoom, which honestly I didn't really like the look of, so I evolved it one more time. And I get this amazing Rainy Doom, like that is so cool. And absolutely ready to take on Sabrina. Sabrina sends out this Ariatos, which is super susceptible to my Psychic and Future Sight. Future Sight taking it out. I employ the same strategy against this Empocan. Future Sight taking it out once again. Then comes out a Miss Venant, which looks amazing. Look at that stuff. I think this is one of the cooler fused Pokemon that I've ever seen. Nevertheless, I use a Psychic doing significant damage, and Future Sight clutches the win again. This move is amazing. Out comes Sabrina's last Pokemon, Muleon. Then I send out my Blaze Tick. I use a Flame Charge to do very little damage. Water Pulse doing also very little damage. Unfortunately, we are hit by a Gunk Shot and it takes us out, forcing us to swap into Magli. However, this Muon is quite powerful and does take it out as well, leaving us to our last Pokemon, our Shedlure. Muon does not have anything to hit our Shedlure, so it is really just a hit, smack and whack until winning. And with one final Shadow Ball, we win and we have beaten Sabrina. We quickly ran over to Cinnabar Island, quickly found Blaine, who was just being a little bitch and hiding, and met him back at his gym. Didn't take long for Rose Doom to come out versing a Renny Doom. I use a Future Sight and a Psychic, Future Sight taking it out. Out comes this amazing looking Chuggigas, but with a lined up Future Sight and a Psychic, I start doing some significant damage. I defeated that Pokemon easily with a Future Sight, and out comes a Pidnine. So that's a Pidgeot and an Arcanine. Looks pretty cool, I've gotta say. It decides to do an agility, which doesn't really do anything, so we just go ahead and use Psychic, doing 50%. Future Sight comes out and knocks it out. Finally, we're already up to Blaine's last Pokemon, Garden-Tails. We set up a Future Sight and start our barrage of Psychic. It looks like Garden-Tails has the exact same idea using Future Sight and Psychic against us, so it is now a battle. However, I am the better Jedi, and my Future Sight and Psychic powers are better than theirs. So we take it out and we have secured yet another gym badge in quick succession. I decided to fuse Magcargo with the Magnemite, creating this tiny little Pokemon called Magmite. Magmite, I decide to evolve one more time into this cool looking Magton. I just love how the steel is like liquid lava. We rushed off to Mount Ember to quickly intercept Giovanni and his plan to fuse the 3 legendary birds. However, we were too late. Giovanni does send out Zapmoncuno, the ultimate Pokemon, the 3 legendary birds fused into one single body. Shedlure is hit by a drill pack which doesn't manage to connect, so we are taken out. Then we send out Magton on newly fused Pokemon. I set up a light screen just to reduce some of the damage that we'll be taking from the Ice Beams, Thunderbolts and Flamethrowers. I use a Flamethrower on the Articuno, hoping to do significant damage, and I was blessed as it did quite a lot of damage. Thanks to the light screen, we were able to survive a few of those special attacks, but the drill peck does take us out. So we had to send out Magli, whose flamethrower does take out the Articuno. I go ahead and freeze dry the Zapdos, doing significant damage and almost taking it out. The victory is in sight. I send out Big Boy Charizard to do a Dragon Rage, taking out the Zapdos. We keep on hitting Moltres with Dragon Rage, but unfortunately it roosts, but no worries, we keep on doing it. We've almost taken out Moltres. So close, we're on 2 HP, and it takes us out. We're left with 2 Pokemon, his Moltres with 1 HP. Psychic hits and takes it out, and with that, we have now defeated Team Rocket boss Giovanni and 3 legendary birds. Given this as a fire run, I wasted absolutely no time going after Moltres because I'm going to catch its flaming legendary bird. I caught Moltres and decided to fuse it immediately, creating this amazing Molmagius. With Molmagius in our team, it was now time to battle Giovanni, the last gym leader, the 8th gym leader. BB comes out, which is a cool Celebi Beetle fusion. Poison jabs for the poison, and then we hit it with an Ice Beam, doing a little bit of damage, but not enough. However, we did get lucky on the hit and managed to take it out completely with a second Ice Beam. Edgar Squire comes out looking really dopey, and an Ice Beam does similar damage, but takes it out in 1 hit instead. Love it. Golvile comes out next, and again we have to really think about what to do here. Ice Beam doing not a lot of damage, but enough to be content with. I decide to go with the Brave Bird, which does win very quickly. So far Giovanni is quite easy. Unfortunately our Blaze Tick is taken out by the recoil damage. And Toxic. Molmagius comes out, our brand new Moltres fusion, and we decide to hit it with a flamethrower. Sucker Punch does come in doing half our damage, but we don't care, because we just won. Megalix comes out, which is a steel grass type, so you can just tell I'm just dancing in my seat here. And with that we have defeated Giovanni. We now have all 8 badges and are ready to go to the Indigo Plateau. Wasting absolutely no time, I headed over to the Indigo Plateau, wanted to battle a few Pokemon just to level up real quick. Look at this Vigo V, it's so cute. Quickly went to the Pokemon Center to heal up my poor weakened Pokemon and decided it was now time to take on the Elite Four. Our final team is Shedlure, Blazistick, Charizard, Doom, Magton, and Molmagius. And with that team we are on to our first battle against Lorelei. She sends out an Agilax. So it's a Snorlax with a sword and shield, so it just looked very cool. I just thought about walking behind it and giving it a hit, but nevertheless, it does end up taking us out with a single hit. Really disappointing. We send out our brand new Molmagius to see what damage he can do. Flamethrower doing significant damage, taking out in almost 1 hit. Landon comes out. I use a Flamethrower for 50% damage. Another Flamethrower doing a little bit more damage. Full Restore coming out, that's okay. Flamethrower takes it out. Typhsaur comes out and of course is really weak to flames, so I use a Flamethrower twice to snatch the quick win. Magnetor comes out and I think it's a bit creepy, but unfortunately it does have Sturdy, so a Flamethrower doesn't take it out immediately. I use Flamethrower once again and quickly take it out. So far this has been really easy. Out comes Agimori, which shares a similar story. 1 Flamethrower isn't enough, so 2 will secure the win. And with that we easily defeated Lorelei. On to the next. Bruno. Bruno sends out a Clefdos at the start, which is this amazing looking Clefable Gyarados fusion. It looks like there's a flame orb in the middle or something. I'm not too sure what's happening there, but it does look pretty cool. Through a series of Flame Burst confusions and Shadow Balls, we are able to take out Clefdos. Out comes a Firgar, which is a bit of a cursed Pokemon if you're asking me. We start to do damage with Fire Spin, Confuse Ray, and Flame Burst, but unfortunately Drill Peck does actually hit us and takes us out. We are then forced to send out Molmagius. Flamethrower instantly taking out that Firgar. Out comes a Gasquaizer. What an amazing looking Pokemon. You would be running an absolute length if you saw that coming towards you. It does take out our Pokemon, so we're forced to send out our boy, Charizard. I use Flamethrower to quickly snatch the win. Treejas comes out, which again, another amazing looking fusion. However, Flamethrower does significant damage, and we're just chilling at this point with our Flamethrowers, spitting fire like it's nobody's business. Dondrio comes out, so we're forced to swap into Blazistick. We use a Flame Charge, but then realize that's actually not that effective, so decided to try Water Pulse. Water Pulse doing significantly more damage as it is super effective, so we do it one more time for the win. And with that, we have defeated yet another Elite Four member. We are now up to Agatha. Agatha sends out Tentazican, which is a Tentacruel and a Blaziken fusion, and I think it is one of the poorest looking fusion sprites. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with this. It just looks like a Tentacruel head on a weirdly edited down version of Blaziken. Now this is actually one of the funniest fights because I didn't swap out from Shedlure at all. none of their Pokemon could take on Shedlure. So excuse me while I quickly just skip to us beating every single one of these, because it is literally just 30 minutes of my life clicking Fire Spin, Fire Burst, and Confuse Ray for the win. And with that, we have defeated Agatha. Now, it was the ultimate challenge. It's Lance. It is time to battle the Elite Four champion. Lance starts off this game with Bicross, which, as you can see, is a question mark. So obviously it didn't download correctly here. It was a bit of a lag. I don't even know what it is. I couldn't really even fathom what this Pokemon could be, so I just shot in the dark here. We finally took out this Bicross with a Flame Burst. Next comes Noctli. I wanted to send out Molmagius to make short work of this Noctli. It hit me with one more Moonblast, but it wasn't doing any damage to me, so I decided to knock it out with Flamethrower. Out comes Porylee! So obviously this guy's kit is all Hitmonlee. My Flamethrower doing 50%, it does another Magic Coat, doesn't matter. I do one more Flamethrower and clutch that kill. Articulate came out, which is an Articuno and Gallade fusion. Pretty cool, I wonder if it can fly, but nevertheless, he withdrew it to send out Matu. So Machoke and Mewtwo. Luckily I actually got a burn and a Flamethrower off, and it fainted really quickly. Articulate tried to survive, but actually couldn't survive another Flamethrower, and with that we actually beat Lance. It was pretty easy peasy, I didn't have to sweat too much. But now I was just a bit worried because it was time to battle our rival Ganon. Ganon sends out this Scully Kiss. Pretty wild looking Pokemon, I would rather not have to deal with it in the future, so I decided to Flamethrow it for an immediate kill. Out comes a Luxrachi, a legendary Pokemon. I actually did get paralyzed with a discharge, which was really unfortunate because it allowed him to go first and secure a win. I send out Magton, our lava-type Pokemon, to hopefully do some effective moves against Luxrachi, given Luxrachi should have some steel typing. But as we can see, it only does regular damage, so I just had to do a few Flamethrowers and hopefully get it off. Luxrachi actually does manage to beat down our Pokemon with a Wild Charge, but nevertheless we can send out Renidoom. Luxrachi uses a full restore to get back to full. Luxrachi even takes out our Renidoom, it's amazing! So feeling the panic, I start throwing out Charizard. Hopefully can finally beat this thing, but no, Luxrachi hits me first and takes me out. Hoping Blaze Tick can do something different, even though I've got a water typing, it is a little bit scary. And fair enough, because it took me out instantly, but also, saving grace, it took itself out. Thank God it was gone. Now the rest of this battle was actually pretty much the same as Agatha. None of his Pokemon could hit my Shedlure. I was extremely lucky in this regard, so I'll just skip to them fainting and all the new Pokemon that came out. Flame Burst takes out Hitmonchan. Out comes a Poriblim, which is so cool. I think Porygons make the coolest of fusions. I think I might do a new run with them. And just like that, Flame Burst snatches a kill. With only 2 Pokemon left, out comes his old favourite Politom. Politom has a water type move, so I'm actually a little bit wary of that because that would take me out. However, he doesn't do it. He's an absolute idiot, our rival. And with an extreme amount of luck, we are able to take it out with a Shadow Ball without being hit by a water type move. Out comes our rival's final Pokemon, and the final Pokemon that we have to battle for this run, a Slowdra. Again, Slowdra has water typing, so it should be able to have some water moves that could hit Shedlure. This doesn't happen. I just go ahead and just spam out my Shadow Balls and my Fire Spins, and I do end up winning. It's amazing. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we have defeated our rival Ganon. We have secured the win over the Elite Four and all 8 gym leaders. We are the champion. And with that, it actually concludes our run. I hope you all enjoyed this Fire-type run. It took a little while to get out and edit, but I am getting a little bit better at pushing these out a bit quicker for you. Look, if you did enjoy this content, I would love it if you could like, subscribe, and even comment down below. You know, what were your favorite parts of the run? Which Pokemon did you think were the coolest? Do you have any suggestions for future runs, or just anything really? Like, engage with me, have a chat. I'm always open for a conversation and would really welcome it.